Okay, so today we're going to go over the multiplying first from the elimination. So you guys, we looked at the addition and subtraction last time, and hopefully you guys got enough practice where you feel really comfortable with it, because it's really a really easy concept. You just have to get the hang of it. If you still have questions, then please make sure you're getting help or you're using your resources. But we're going, if you're watching this, that means that you probably are really good at addition and subtraction by now. So multiplying first. So the reason that we add a step to addition and subtraction is because what happens if we have something like this? So like example 5. So remember what we said the rule was. In order to be able to use elimination, we need opposite coefficients of each other. In these two equations, we have 3x and negative x. These are not opposite coefficients, even though they have opposite signs. Y has negative 2 and y. Again, even though they have opposite signs, they are not opposite coefficients. So we cannot eliminate any of these variables. So in order to be able to eliminate one of these variables, we are going to multiply it first. And the one that we're going to multiply is going to be our second equation. Why? Because I can easily multiply 3 to each term, and it'll give me negative 3x, which means that it will eliminate the x. Or I can multiply 2 and to each term of my bottom equation, or my second equation, and it would give me positive 2y, and I'll be able to eliminate the y. So you can pick which one you want to eliminate. I'm just gonna pick x because it's the first one. So I'm gonna multiply everything times positive 3. And the reason that my 3 is positive is because my x is already negative. So all I have to do is multiply it times 3, and I get negative 3, and it'll be opposite of positive 3. So that gives me negative 3x plus 3y equals 3. So this is just like distributive property. You have to multiply each term. You can't just multiply the x and be done with it. Each term has to be multiplied. All right, so then I'm going to write my other equation. I'm writing a different color. My other equation beneath it. That way it makes it easy for me to either add or subtract. Now, because we multiply by positive 3, our coefficient is already opposite of each other. You see? So what do we do when they're opposite of each other? We add them. So that means that this eliminates, I say so a lot, I've noticed. And then you're going to add this. So 3 plus negative 2, that gives you 1, or just y. 3 plus 3 is 6. So that's your value for y. It's 6. But we still have to find what our x is. So I am going to take this back into my this equation here, and I'm going to substitute my 6 for y. So my equation is negative x plus y equals 1. I'm going to substitute this with the 6, and then I'm going to solve for x. So I'm going to rewrite it over here to a side a little bit so you guys can see. Well, I'll do it right here. Negative 6 to both sides. So then what am I left with? I am left with negative x equals negative 6. I have to divide this by negative 1 because I have to get rid of that negative in front of my x. So, oh wait, that's negative 5, sorry. So negative 5. So then x equals 5. So that means that my solution is 5, 6. So let me back up a step because I hope I didn't confuse y'all. So right here, 1 minus negative 6 is actually negative 5. So I originally wrote negative 6 for whatever reason, but it's negative 5. So that's how I get my x of 5, because then I have to divide it by the negative 1. So that is with the multiplying step, okay? Let's look at this one. So look at it one more time so you can see what I did. I had to first multiply by a positive 3 in order to create that opposite coefficient that we had talked about for addition and subtraction. Then I just do my addition. because my coefficients are opposite and it makes it so much easier. Let's look at example 6. Because example 6 does not have like a variable without a coefficient in it that makes it easy. So if I were to pick x to change, I would have to multiply both my top and my bottom equation. I would have to multiply the top by 3 to make it a positive 6, and then the bottom by negative 2 to make it a negative 6 to cancel. That's too many steps for me. Unless I have to do it, I don't want to do that. So I'm going to pick this one because I can multiply my 5 by negative 2 and they'll convert that into a negative 10, and that's opposite coefficient. I can just cancel that out. So let me do that. Remember, whenever you do this, you have to multiply each term. So negative 2 times 2 would be negative 4x. Then this is negative 10y. Then this is negative 6. So it looks like this. All right, let me put my phone up here. And try to show you better because I'm not getting a really good. There it goes. All right, see if you can see this better. Good. So I'm going to, my equation's already written. I don't have to rewrite it because this one's already the same. So now I'm going to add these. Why am I adding and not subtracting? Because when I multiplied the negative 2 here, this is a negative 10. So it's already the opposite. So I just add them. If it was the same, then the same sign, then you would subtract them. All right, so 3x plus negative 4x is the same as 3x minus 4x. So that's negative x. 10y minus 10y is 0, so that cancels. Negative 3 plus negative 6 is the same as negative 3 minus 6, and that's negative 9. And then we divide both sides by negative 1. I don't know what's wrong with me today. Cancel it out. So x equals 9. So that's my value for x. I don't know why I was writing x. Don't write x. That's a big no-no. It's negative 1. You divide by the coefficient, not by the variable. Okay, so now that I have that done, I'm going to go back and I'm going to substitute back into my first or second equation. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to do my first equation. So 2 times negative 9 plus 5y equals 3. So maybe you're thinking, Ms. Mendoza, how did you get those numbers? I just grabbed them from here. This is 2. I substituted my x with our newfound value, which was 9, not negative 9. Making a lot of mistakes today. I don't know what's wrong. All right. And then plus 5y equals 3. So 2 times 9 is 18, plus 5y equals 3. Then I subtract 18 on both sides because I have to solve for y, and I want y by itself. So 5y equals negative 15 because 3 minus 18 is negative 15. And then you want to divide by 5. So y equals negative 3. So your answer is 9, negative 3. Awesome. So that's example 6. Example 7 is the same, except there's not an easy way to do this one. So you're going to want to just, you can pick whichever one you want. So I'm going to pick x to work with because neither one of them is going to make it easy for me to do. I'm going to have to multiply both of them. But the thing with x is that the signs are the opposite. So I just have to multiply by the opposite, like the other number, without having to worry about my signs. So I'm going to multiply this by positive 3. I'm going to multiply this by 4. So I have to multiply both equations by the other coefficient. And I can keep them both positive because they already have opposite signs. Here, one would have to be, the number multiplied would have to be positive, the other one would have to be negative in order for them to cancel out. So 3 times 4 is 12x plus 15y equals 35 times 3, that's 51, so 105. Okay, so same thing with the bottom one. So can you see that? All right, so now I have to multiply, let me try to zoom out here. Now I have to multiply everything by 4. So that would be 4 times negative 3 is negative 12x. 4 times 2 is 8y. 4 times negative 9 is negative 36. So our signs are opposite, so I can add. And I'm going to cancel my x out, and I'm going to solve for my y. So 15 plus 8 is 23y equals 105 minus 36, which is 9, what is that? 9, 1, so 64, 69. Let me double check that. So that's be 5, 1, yeah, 69. So then I'm going to divide both sides by 23. So y equals 3. Okay? So I'm going to substitute this y back into one of these. I'm going to just use my first equation. You can pick whatever you want. By this time, you should be like pros at substituting these values back in there. So my first equation is 4x plus 5y equals 35. So I'm going to substitute this 3 back in there. So 4x plus 5 times 3 equals 35. 4x plus 15 equals 35. So like that. So then I'm going to go right here. 4x plus, I'm going to rewrite it so you can see the work I do. Negative 15 or minus 15, 4x equals 20. And you divide both sides by 4, so x equals 5. So that means that our solution will be 5, 3. And ta-da! That's how you multiply. Okay? So let's summarize what we just did, all of these million steps. So we talked about addition and subtraction last time. For multiplication, let me write a different color. You multiply to make a coefficient opposite in order to eliminate when you add or subtract. And then the steps are the same as the other one. So let me zoom it out so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So multiply to make a coefficient opposite in order to eliminate when you add or subtract. So remember, the goal of all of these is to find your ordered pair. Now you have 3 different strategies that you can use. You can use graphing. If they're both like linear, you can write them as y equals mx plus b. Graphing is easiest. You can do substitution. If one is solved for the variable, it's easy to solve for the variable. Or you can use elimination. And elimination can really be used with anything. If this is one that you want to practice and get really good at, this is one you can use with any single system of equation. And it makes it easy because of the multiplication. All right, guys, make sure you pick your independent practice and you are turning that into me for me to sign. Good luck.